Whether it's war, grid shutdowns, or natural disasters, you need to be prepared. Having that sense of security will help a lot, not only in day-to-day life, but also when it really matters, in times of distress/emergency. Today, we're going to talk about 6 really important things that you should have in place for situations like these. But before we go ahead and get into that though, let's cue intro. All right, so the first thing is to have plans. Now, these are very crucial in emergency situations because they help things stay efficient/smooth and help to prevent you or your loved ones from getting hurt. Nobody wants anyone to get hurt during a storm or in an emergency situation. Because of this, you should make sure that you and your family have plans set out for different weather emergencies or distressful situations, and make sure to go over it at least once a month with them. That way you guys have it programmed and like engraved in your heads to do those things whenever the situation that you have planned for happens, so you guys at least have some sort of idea of what to do. The second thing you need to know is how to start a fire. Now, for those of you who don't already know how to do this, I do have YouTube videos that go a little bit more in depth than what I'm about to tell you, and I'll go ahead and leave a link for those at the end of this video, so feel free to check those out if you don't know already, or you just need a couple of reminders or want to learn more ways to create fire. But in order to make a fire, what you need ultimately is a flint and steel, or you need to have friction to create the fire. So for friction, you can use bow drills and a couple other things. It's mainly bow drills as far as I'm aware of. And then your flint and steel. So with flint and steel specifically, what you do is, you take your flint and you strike it against the steel. And what that will do is it creates sparks. That will help to create embers of fire. And you always want to strike those into some sort of tinder. So like dry grass, leaves, etc. Or wood shavings are really good too. And then, you make your fuel for the fire. So there are many different things that you can use for that. Wood obviously is the biggest one. You can use other things like coal, etc. Fire is a really important thing to have because it'll keep you warm, it'll help you purify water and cook your food. So fire is ultimately one of the most important things to have in any sort of survival or emergency situation. Alrighty, so the third tip is how to secure your own food/water. The easiest ways to secure your own food would be to either hunt for it or to grow your food. And growing your food is going to be a hell of a lot easier to do than hunting for it. In order to secure good food that will grow efficiently and fast, you want to get seeds, and those are really cheap to grab. You can even find some of them out in nature as well too. The best seeds that you can get that will grow the quickest, generally within like 30 days or a little bit longer, would be lettuce, kale, and cabbage seeds. If you don't have any sort of space to do gardening in or access to a garden space, what you can do is buy a bunch of good-sized planting pots with a bunch of drain holes in, or an efficient amount of them. Stay away from plastic ones because they generally are shit and they end up killing your plants. I can speak to this from experience. Stick with the clay ones or ceramic style because these are way better, and generally you don't really have any problems from them. When you're planting the seeds, be very aware of the soil that you're using, plus how much water you're giving them, because both of these things can really determine how well it turns out or if it dies. And then also, whenever you're doing it, after you've done this stuff, make sure you give the plant lots of love. Talking to it and, giving it positive energy has proven to help stimulate positive plant growth and to help it grow better overall. Then, hunting, you get your gun, bow, or set up traps, to catch the animals that you'd like to eat. Do your research on which animals you can eat, obviously, because if you don't, it can really fuck you up. Just like if you were to sit there and, you know, try to forage for anything like wild mushrooms, berries, etc., you need to know which ones are poisonous to you and which ones can really damage you, because if you don't, you could die in the next few hours after you ingest it and it ain't gonna be fun. Alrighty, so the fourth thing you should have and prepare for survival / emergency situations would be a bug out bag. So bug out bags are basically just things you use in times of emergencies or whenever you go out camping, etc., etc. The first and most important thing to have in your bug out bag would be a first aid kit with sterile gauze and alcohol swabs. There's never a time in emergency situations where you should not have band-aids, gauze, and rubbing alcohol. Just a generic first aid kit at least, because if something were to happen, you know, and you got infected with something, it's really gonna fucking suck, especially if, you know, you can't get to the hospital or anything else for a while. Why having a first aid kit is really important, and the more you like advance that and prepare it, the better off you're gonna be. So it's really a worthwhile investment to, you know, build on a first aid kit and make it more than just your standard one. And it's good to have bug out bags in your car and at least a couple inside your house, one for every family member. The next important thing to have inside your bug out bag would be a knife and flint and steel, and then an emergency blanket. Emergency blankets will reflect your heat. You can use them in building shelters to help reflect heat back at you in that shelter. And then flint and steel helps you start your fires, which also help keep you warm. A couple other things that are really good to have inside your bug out bags would be things like water purification tablets or purification drinking straws or tubes. Reasons why these are good is simply because of the fact you can get fresh, clean drinking water, as long as it's not like polluted, you know, significantly or really badly. You can have fresh, good drinking water, and, you know, always boil water too. It really will help a lot in killing a lot of the viruses and all the bacteria and all that stuff in it. But these will help you a lot with some of that stuff too. The straws particularly filter out things more, and water tablets kill bacteria. But we do have a video on this more in depth. It was actually my last video, so if you guys want to learn more about the ways to get secure drinking water, go on and check out my link above here. Then another good thing to have is a form of reflection, so you can signal people, or you can put a flare inside the bug out bag, you know, so that way it's really easy to signal people where you're at if you ever do need help. It's also really good to include candles and waterproof matches inside these kits. Waterproof matches are really handy because they don't get wet and ruined, unlike normal matches. And then, you know, candles are a good source of light in case you need them. Then another thing that is not really as important but really nice to have in emergency situations would be things like toothpaste and a toothbrush, and then either a stick or like spray deodorant. Mind you, it's not really the most important thing, and you don't really need them at all, but they do help, you know, make things a little bit nicer, and, you know, smell at least somewhat decent and have clean teeth. The fifth thing to have in a emergency situation is the skill of bartering. First part of bartering is building rapport. So you want to ask this person what their name is, and then, you know, give them your name. This psychologically makes them more likely to give you a better deal because they'll like you for it. People just love hearing their name. It's their favorite word in the whole entire language. Find some things that the two of you guys have in common. You can talk about almost anything. Make sure to make it long enough too to where you feel comfortable with them, and the same for them with you. Once you start asking questions, don't be afraid to wait a little bit. It's not a bad thing. And also throw in some compliments, you know, in there first before asking, you know, a question. For instance, if they're selling a action figure or something like that, be like, oh hey, that's a really nice action figure. I really like the arm piece on that. And, you know, they'll talk about its weight and be like, so what all's, like, wrong with it and why are you trying to sell it? If you know them, be like, oh, hey, how's your family doing? You know, like put that as an interjection in between your questions, or like your main questions. Kind of like break the ice a bit more and make the conversation more friendly. Waiting is a really key, important step in this whole procedure, because waiting is showing that you're interested in what they have to say. And it's okay to act a little dumb, you know, and to ask questions about this stuff. The next part of this process is to stand your ground. Figure out why they're selling it. Their price floor might be set by an alternate factor. Things like if they have mouths to feed, they need medicine for something. In the case of the action figure, they need parts for another action figure or money to get another one, etc. You know, just apply that to the situation. Think of what they might potentially need that stuff for and why they're setting the price the way that they are. Find that and you can find the lowest price. Now, on the other hand, a quick deal could mean that they're hiding something. So keep asking questions. Quick buys or quick purchases often lead to buyer's remorse. Last thing you want in a emergency situation is to have buyer's or trader's remorse, because it could be something that really didn't help you that much and you could have gotten something much better, or you could have gotten it for a better deal, you know, if you only would have just kept asking those questions. The next element of this is numbers. Never give your price ceiling away immediately, and never give the price floor. You want to keep it low enough that it's annoying, but not low enough that it's going to offend them or, you know, make them completely uninterested in giving something to you, you know? Now, silence is important. Don't be afraid of silence at all in these negotiating situations. In fact, it's kind of a normal thing. After you announce a price, stick with it. The more stubborn you are on it, the more likely you know it is to go that way. Now, another important part of bartering, and a very important one, is body language. So make sure you know, smile, keep your toes pointed towards them, shake hands with them, remove any objects in between you guys that might divide you or make it feel kind of like divided. And most importantly of all, use their name. Don't be afraid to throw in some extras there too, because you could potentially get more bang for your buck, especially if they really like you. Back to the whole instance of action figure, be like, oh man, like that's a really cool freaking helmet piece you could add onto there. That's a really cool like part of the whole figure set. Would I potentially be able to get that too? Only do this when you have come to a close agreement. You're a lot more likely to get better deals the more that they like you. So remember to keep using your name and keep eye contact. Alright, so the sixth and final thing that is really good to have in emergency situations are emergency funds. This is simply because they can help a lot in times of distress or an emergency and can help you to survive better or even thrive. So getting things like gold, silver, and platinum are always beneficial. It doesn't even matter even if there isn't an emergency. The stock market happens to crash or the economy does, etc., etc. You're prepared if you get things like gold, silver, and platinum, especially when you have larger quantities. Now, you don't have to get a shit ton, but if you get like just a decent amount, you'll be set for quite a minute, or at least, you know, be somewhat decently prepared compared to a lot of other people who don't even fucking bother. Now, if you don't have any places that you really trust to go buy gold, silver, or platinum, go check out American Heartbreak Gold. They're not sponsoring me or anything, but I've done some research into their stuff and I've thought about very seriously investing in it, especially since all the stagflation that's going on and the inflation and how things are going. I want to be prepared for, you know, a situation where the economy collapses or the elites of the world fuck us over and we will own nothing and be happy, you know? It's never too late to sit there and invest in yourself and your family by taking some of your money and investing in a couple of gold coins or silver or platinum, whatever fits your fancy, you know? Doing stuff like that over time, especially a couple times a year, is really beneficial. That or investing in things that would be very valuable and worth a lot, especially that you could use in bartering situations during a emergency, are extremely well worth investing in. Things like food rations or freeze-dried food, you know, the like you see advertised on TV all the time, like Patriot goods and stuff like that. People freaking want that shit like crazy, man. And the more you have of that and then you have the luxury of giving away, the more you can profit and thrive in an emergency situation. That, or like a couple of things that might make quality of life a little bit better, like toothpaste, toothbrush, toilet paper, especially, mainly toilet paper. Shit will freaking go for a decent penny in value of what all's, you know, there to trade at that point in time during a storm or whatever the case may be. Alrighty, so that's gonna be it for us today, my dudes. If you guys did make it to the end of this video, go ahead and leave the word survivor in the comment section down below. Let me know that you're a part of the 100% club. Now, with that being said, if you don't really trust the government and, you know, want to learn about the corruption within it and become enlightened on that topic, go ahead and check out my main YouTube channel. I have a bunch of content on that stuff and why you shouldn't trust the governments of the world, or at least, you know, should question them. But feel free to check that out. And thank you to every single one of you that subscribe to this channel and that are a part of the tribe. And thank you to all the new viewers out there and new fans. I appreciate you guys very much, and I hope that, you know, you enjoy your stay and the content that I put out here for you. With that being said, though, my dudes, until next time, please don't forget to, you know, live long and prosper, take care and peace, and keep it 1,000,000% real. I'll see you guys on the flip side.